Hey everybody, I'm here with David, and today we're going to talk about Ajna Chakra as relating to healing.
That's yeah, third eye. Essentially, your mind and whatever, everything is connected to the mind and how your mind influences everything and very immediately influences the autoimmune system. When you're in doubts and fears and whatnot, the immune system goes into doubt and fear. Same thing, and it gets confused as to what it could or should do.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And I remember you telling us that a thought is an actual chemical, a neuropeptide, if I remember correctly.
it becomes,
It be-
yeah. In the hypothalamus area in the middle of your brain, the pituitary is hanging off the end of the hypothalamus, and your thoughts go through the hypothalamus, and the vibration of your thought goes into the vibration of a molecule, which is a neuropeptide. That's another term really for hormones, but
hmm.
it's all in the same category of your brain chemistry and your body chemistry. So it goes into the pituitary, and the pituitary then has a more known hormonal reaction telling the other endocrine glands what to do or not to do. And your thymus gland is one of those. So
Mm.
needs to have a good connection, and you need to be in a positive state of happiness and confidence. These are all, they manifest in your life as success, and success of your immune system is the same kind of phenomenon. You
Mm-hmm.
have to empower that in order for it to happen. And, I mean, we're designed, as we mentioned before, we have the program in our subconscious, what white blood cells should be doing, what the killer T cells are supposed to do, and the communication between them and various cells and neuropeptides. It's all programmed into us, but it requires a state of mind that is peaceful and content and happy.
And we
And,
can activate this. It's the same thing as activating the stress. Like,
yeah,
if we're stressed out and we're thinking stressful, negative thoughts, it's going to feed into our body. It's going to be positive. For some reason, people have a hard time acknowledging the power of positive thought. And
yeah. Well, there's a reason for that too, because you can have a positive thought and you can throw that positive thought out there, but underneath it is days
doubt,
and days of doubts and fears and negative thinking. So
you have to believe in it.
you have to change your whole belief system into understanding how the immune system works until you feel, and it's a feeling, and you feel, yeah, of course I can take care of this bug or this virus, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not sure and you have doubts, the doubts go right through your body,
Yeah.
through the immune system.
What is it conflicting then if you're sending yourself, and not fake, because you're, of course, people
Yeah,
truly
fake.
try. Yeah, but
I mean,
people are
I've
like,
seen
they're
a lot of
trying so hard.
people
Yeah.
in the new age category who,
Yeah.
I
A
did
little.
this kind of healing and I sent some positive thoughts to my tumor or something. It's not that simple, because your subconscious has got all the content of every negative thought you've ever had.
You got to
And
reprogram
you
that.
have to reprogram that, and you got to replace it. Why am I thinking that? Well, I heard it from so and so. They were really bad. They were pretty depressed when they told me this. If you look back at where the thoughts come from, and you can dismantle the belief system that leads to you having the disease. But it's not as simple as, okay, I'm seeing myself positive.
Yeah, it takes a lot of work.
Yeah, reprogramming. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we are in the state of being programmed from the time you come out of the womb, even before, when you're still in the womb. Everything your mother's going through is influencing your emotions and your development. And
Mm-hmm.
when you come out, you're photographing everything that you see. And this is, you're learning to recognize the world in which you live. You're recognizing the voice of your mother and your father. And if they're having an argument gets programmed into you, and you think argument is the way to communicate.
It's deep.
And yeah, it's deep. And then they're talking about disease. Oh, Uncle Joe just died of da da da. This goes into your mind. Okay, people die of this disease, or that disease, and my uncle died, so it's.
Mm-hmm. And that goes into Bruce Lipton's work of the
Mm,
epigenetics,
yeah.
which you've been talking about forever. And
Yeah,
yeah, it's that you don't have to choose that blueprint for yourself.
yeah.
Like you can
You,
choose
that's
health and
that's the thing. So if you're consciously choosing, this is where the positive thinking comes in. The negative thought will come up, and you look at it and say, okay, why is that there? Why is this even coming up? Because I've been hearing about it from so many different people. I've heard about it on the news, etc. And what's a complementary thought? And this is where we step into the quantum physics field, because Bruce Lipton and all these people are looking at the epigenetic. What are our genes made of, and our chromosomes and everything? They're made of molecules that are made of vibrations. And at the root of the vibrations is us and our thinking, which is what's creating the vibration that goes into the molecules that goes into your genetic structure.
it feels like such a battle to reprogram yourself. Is it that hard? Please tell me it's easier than, because it's been so hard to reprogram the brain. And I guess it's because everything that's around us, no matter how much work we do on our own, we tend to then step out into a world that's just constantly bombarding us with
Yeah.
brainwashing, negative images.
Yeah. That, and consider, like I said, when you're a child, you come out, you're completely empty of concepts and ideas, and you start learning from the world around you. The first 7 years is when you pick up all the programs, and they'll go really deep into as your brain is developing and creating neurons and making connections between the neurons, your belief system is being formed very much in those first few years. So after that, you have to go back in and change things. And that's the difficulty. If you are educated in a positive way and you're brought up in a nice environment where everything is loving and beautiful, and your parents are in a positive state of mind, and they're not talking about disease and poverty and war, you have a much more positive impression of life. And then you can live with that one and step into the world with that kind of a belief system of life is a good thing and life is healthy. And
yeah,
so the programming goes deep. And again, we've talked about the medical association deciding in 1860 that it's better off if people believe in bacteria being the cause of disease, because then we can sell them drugs.
Just round and round we go. But that might be changing now, I feel like.
Well, it's changing for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But the majority isn't changing very quickly, and the resistance to change is pretty strong.
It's very strong, yeah. So I guess you just take it one step at a time with yourself, and then hopefully your positive change will only influence others to follow.
As you change yourself, people will feel that you've changed. You seem a little different. What happened? Or what did you go through? What did you learn? And when you learn this positive stuff and you become confident with it, because you have kind of a scientific base of, reality is made of vibration. And in yoga, you go deep into your states of relaxation, concentration, until you really experience the vibration. So it's not just an intellectual theory. And you feel, everything's vibration. And then you play with yourself. You make little adjustments. You have a little cut. So you imagine white blood cells going there, and you send oxygen, and you send prana, and you observe. Do you have a doubt? Does your mind come, oh, maybe I should go see a doctor and get an antibiotic? What if I get infected?
But the work is recognizing that thought, and as the observer going, like you said, why am I thinking this? And I get to choose. Am I going to say, F you to that thought and focus on the self-healing, or am I going to attach and roll down with that, right? Is that the work?
Yeah, that's it.
One little thing.
So the awareness and being sharp and seeing the thoughts that come up and saying, whoa, wait a minute, can I just delete that thought?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't my immune system create an antibody for whatever bacteria just got in the cut?
Yeah, exactly. So I think too, a lot of people are confused with meditation, that they think that they just have to sit, breathe, and bliss out, and like you go into this other realm, when really the meditation, well, you teach us so many meditations and pranayamas, but this specific is very active. or it's not active in the sense that you're searching, but you are being present with yourself and then really being aware of what comes in and then making choices with your brain activity.
Making choices, kind of rewiring yourself,
And that's all Ajna
and
chakra
that's
work.
yeah. And this is not meditation technically.
Okay.
This is concentration.
Like, what's the Sanskrit word for that? Or it's
D-
just
Dhyana is
yeah.
the concentration. Dharana is the contemplation, when you're observing the thoughts and changing them. And then when you have gotten rid of the doubts and the fears and the negative thoughts, then you can concentrate on, okay, I'm feeling the cut in my finger. I'm bringing oxygen and prana to this place. And there's no mental distraction
Mm-hmm.
or doubts or interference. So contemplation comes first, where this is the biggest part of the job, because we have been taught so many negative things about all the disease possibilities, about us being incapable of fighting off an invisible little germ or virus. I mean, it's as bad,
Literally invisible.
literally invisible. I mean, it's as bad as superstition or believing in ghosts or whatever. But everybody believes it. We've been so well programmed to do.
And then when we get it and we do feel symptoms of it, instead of us having the power to be like, I'm going to start working on fixing this problem, then we just spiral down with, oh my God, I have this, and now I have to see a doctor, and it gets
Yeah.
worse and worse, right?
There again,
Just
you get one little symptom, and you start worrying.
yeah,
Oh my God,
and
maybe I have. So the thing in yoga, the attitude is you observe, you have a feeling, which might come close to what somebody describes as a symptom for this, but you stay with the feeling, and then you work with breathing and movement, and you change the feeling. So you're right at the source
mm-hmm.
before it escalates into a whole negative loop and thought process that then disables your immune system. You catch it right away.
Yeah,
So you need to be aware of your thinking process all the time. And that's the contemplation,
mm-hmm.
which is another big missing link in the world of yoga.
Yeah. I feel a lot of people are stuck on the first chakra realm of it, which is the physical, which is the
Yeah.
asana, which is
The
great.
most
But
obvious, and you can do a posture, and everybody says, "Oh, wow, good job with the posture," but they can't see what you're thinking.
yeah,
While you're
that's
doing the
true.
posture, you're thinking, "Oh, I'm a shithead," you know.
Oh, yeah, no, it's true. That's more important than what's
Well,
happening.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that's what's happening inside, and that's what's
Yeah.
influencing your brain chemistry and your body chemistry. It doesn't matter if you're doing a fancy handstand on one finger or something. It's like
Mhm.
what's
Mhm.
happening inside, and all of your internal organs are responding to the chemistry, the hormones, the neuropeptides that
Mm.
are being created and recreated in your mind,
Yeah.
through your mind.
The Ajna chakra.
Yeah, and the recreation, we tend to think the same thoughts over
Mhm.
and over again.
It's our program.
So
A
yeah,
loop.
then we're recreating the same neuropeptides, the same chemistry that creates the problem
Mhm.
that we'd like to get rid of, but just by thinking about the problem,
Is
we're empowering it.
yeah.
You know, when you are practicing yoga and you see these things coming, you replace it with a positive, sending white blood cells to the scene of the crime. Killer T cells are going around destroying all mutant cells that do come up in everybody's body. And the reason we have killer T cells is to get rid of mutant cells, which
Mhm.
if you don't get rid of them, they come together and they mutate and they begin forming a tumor. But we have a defense that catches that right at the beginning. If
We are aware and
yeah,
yeah.
if we're not worried about it and thinking about it and remembering, well, my mother had this kind of cancer, and the doctor says I'm susceptible to this because it's genetic.
Mm. Mhm.
You know? So new science. You know what Bruce Lipton discovered in the 60s and 70s in his research, that we're not genetically victims. We can choose the genes, and we have to. If I mean, we all have all kinds of genes, good, bad, and negative.
Mhm.
It's you have to choose them, and then you support your choice by bad diet, bad lifestyle, which makes you feel kind of negative about yourself, and then you're going to choose the
Then
negative. So
yeah.
it's all interconnected.
Well,
And
before I
like that, the lifestyle. Was like,
yeah. Before I ask the next question, I just want to point out real quick. It's funny you say he discovered that in the 60s and 70s, yet our textbooks have not been changed, and
yeah.
that goes in a whole other again
Yeah,
the
yeah.
programming.
And he says that in
But
some of his
yeah,
videos. They're still teaching in medical school. It's genetic, and there's the whole epigenetic research which is showing it's not really the way it is.
yeah, it's incredible. It's just I don't
It
under
takes a long time to change a system, and a system of 100 million people believing this, and it's in all the textbooks. I mean, we'd have to change
hmm
all the textbooks, and they're all
who
new.
cares? Change it. But yeah,
Yeah,
that people go, oh, it's too much or
yeah.
whatever. And then
Well, yeah.
who's
Change is
who's
difficult.
funding the schools and the I don't know. Maybe it gets even bigger than that. Of like, is it the which companies are funding this? I don't
Yeah.
know, but
Yeah,
um,
well, it gets into the Rockefeller Foundation, and
yeah,
probably Bill Gates is in there now too.
yeah.
Control the education and what people think, and then you got them.
Yeah. So I think it's important. We really need to use our Ajna chakra and really think for ourselves, like get ourselves out of the box that we didn't even. Some of us don't even know that we're in. I didn't know I was in one until our training. So
Yeah.
thank you. But question.
Checking them off.
It literally was like that. It was just, oh my gosh, no turning back now.
Well, it was me going to India. I knew nothing about the box or medicine. I just stepped out because I was bored with the old lifestyle.
Yeah.
And then Dr. Swami Gitananda that I studied with really blew my mind away. It was having been in the medical system for 38 years, I think, and he had all these stories about what's really happening. I said, really? I had no idea it was like that.
Yeah.
And he'd go around saying 97% of all disease is psychosomatic. And he said that over and over again, having been in the profession and looked at all this, and then he says the only way to really become healthy is to take responsibility for yourself and practice a healthy lifestyle and put the yoga in there.
It makes so much sense. But then we're just like, wait, what? Really? We have that? Yeah, it makes so much sense. But then we're so shocked to hear that we have that power.
I had no idea about anything about the body, and just when I was very intellectual and in engineering, you learn nothing about the body because I didn't specialize in biology. I was into physics and chemistry and mathematics, and
Yeah.
from that to engineering. So there was no holistic education about it, which everybody has a body. It's like you don't learn anything about relationships in school, but everybody gets into relationships. You don't
That's
learn
true.
anything.
They don't help us out at all.
Yeah. It's like, well, wait a minute. Shouldn't we know this thing? Because we're going that way.
Yeah.
We're all going to, be in relationships. We're all going to be in the world and encounter disease. But nothing is taught about how we just overcome all that.
Or how we even work or how our bodies can give us signals. Like, for example, I can't believe that the medical system is handing out birth control pills like crazy and stopping a woman's menstrual cycle, which is totally normal, and it gives us clues on what's happening with our health, and they're suppressing that.
Yeah, it's like
I don't understand. Yeah.
Doesn't really make sense, but that's the way the system is. They don't look at the consequences.
Mm-hmm.
What's the long-term consequences of doing this or doing that? I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, you remember Brian who came to the
Yes.
court? Okay, well, he had a lump in his leg from a bike injury at some point, and it was starting to hurt him, so he went and they cut out the lump. While they cut out the lump, they cut out all the veins around it so that the circulation was not getting through anymore. And then that became a problem because then his foot started having bad circulation and the veins in the bottom were bulging out. So the solution was to, well, just keep cutting out more veins.
No.
Until what? What's the end result? If you take all the veins out of the legs,
then you're going to have to cut off the leg.
You're going to have to cut off the leg, which is just more surgery as far as they're concerned. But for Brian, says, well, wait, I don't really want to end up cutting off my leg, in a couple of years. He was an active biking and doing all these things.
Yeah.
Which he could no longer do because it became too painful. Anyway, question?
Yes, so we had a question from our good friend Joshua. He was at, and this has to do with Ajna Chakra, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong. What happened, some of the symptoms of an overcharged or undercharged Ajna Chakra could be epilepsy or too much brain activity leading to seizures. Can you break that down? Is that a Ajna chakra symptom or?
Well, yeah, it can be related to that, but thinking in general is governed more by the fifth chakra,
Mhm.
which governs metabolism. And it speeds up your metabolism so that you're more active and doing more things, or if it's out of balance, you're too slow and sluggish, etc., and you end up gaining weight. It has the same influence on your brain cells. It activates the brain cells, and you're thinking too much.
Mhm.
And we all have too much information in our heads anyway from all our education, which is full of conflicts and theories and whatever. So overthinking creates more energetic buildup in the brain, and if there's no solutions where you say, "Oh, okay, I get it,"
It's just
then, then yeah, it just builds up as stress, and that stress is a energetic bundle that needs to be released someplace. And what the brain does when it gets really overcharged, instead of blowing up, it takes the energy and sends it down the motor neurons. Then that goes into the muscles, and the muscles contract. In epilepsy, you have seizures, and if you look at the seizures, they're repetitive and rhythmic contractions of a lot of different muscles, which is the energy is just being discharged at a rate that's so fast and so powerful that you kind of lose consciousness, etc. But
an electrical shock almost.
yeah,
Yeah.
basically it's a release of electricity.
So people, okay, because it's scary. I'm sure when it happens. I've never, thankfully, had one of those episodes, but I'm sure it must be
And,
terrifying. You can't control your body. I mean, it's just yeah.
yeah, well, you know, when you do the camel and you do a breath retention,
Yeah.
and sometimes you do the breath retention and you,
The shaking.
yeah, the shake, and if you look at the shaking, it's very rhythmic.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same thing, but you creating an overload in your brain and then you're releasing it. And ideally, with these retentions, you're doing this in a controlled way where you're not passing out and falling over.
Don't do this at home.
But we're not suggesting this. People do,
Yeah, like
fall
yeah.
over, pass out, and they go into what looks like a seizure or something, and then they come out laughing about it because it feels amazing to have
Yeah.
this rush of energy come through and release like that, and your consciousness just goes off into other dimensions.
So it's important for
Yeah.
those people that are the opposite of the spectrum that they're generating these convulsions and this energy through stress. And that's not obviously that's not the type of energy we want to be pulsating through our bodies.
No,
How would you?
and it's not consciously done, and it's not released in a way until the brain, like the pressure valve on a pressure cooker,
Uh-huh.
which if it gets too much, just lets off some steam. That's what your nervous system is doing.
So a lot
So
of breathing to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, then to calm down the nervous system.
yeah, one of the guys I met at Ananda Ashram, the second year I was there, 72, was a guy from Trinidad who he was a priest at one point. Dropped out of that after meeting Gitananda. But he had
Oh no,
epilepsy. He had grand mal epilepsy, which was
what's that
major
one?
seizures where you just might choke on your own tongue and you're
Hmm.
completely out of it. So Swami Gitananda taught him Savitri.
That's it.
2 weeks of Savitri, and there were no more seizures, and he never had one since.
Amazing.
So, and Savitri is, you practice it, it's relaxing, it balances out the nervous system, including the brain cells. So you don't have a supercharged clump of cells here that needs to blow up because everything is equalized and balanced and it's distributed. I mean, if you're having seizures or something and you start doing it, you might find yourself jerking a little bit.
Because it's just a little release.
Yeah, just little releases.
Another point I just want to say really quick. So let's say that you're same things happening, but a different human, and instead of seizures, it could actually that clump of stuck vibration can then manifest into another area of the body to create some sort of imbalance.
Yeah, if
Yeah,
it
so again, it's all
stays too
about,
long in the brain, it can turn into a brain tumor.
right? Or
So
if you're thinking that's going to feed into the glands, the endocrine system, and then wherever you're already stuck energy, that's where it's going to go to continue being stuck. Is that
yeah,
like another manifestation? So okay,
it's all a manifestation,
of yeah,
and it goes to wherever you have
stuck.
your most stuck place. Even I mean, take someone who's in an office job and always at a computer. You're going to end up with a lot of tension and stress in here,
Mm-hmm.
which is going to affect how you feel, and you're going to feel too much responsibility and not sure if you can handle all the responsibility, and it's all stuck in here. And if you stay with that too long, you can end up with severe problems restricting the blood flow through the neck into your head, etc.,
Mm.
headaches and various problems. And if you have something else where you're too focused on digestion and eating, and then you have too much stress and tension going to your liver and your pancreas,
Mm.
and you're compensating by eating more and stuffing it down. Eventually, something in those glands is going to kind of
Give.
start mutate and get polluted, and you end up with whatever, some kind of a weird ulcer or tumor in your pancreas, pancreatic cancer, which is one of the most lethal.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, all
Yeah.
disease
Yeah.
is,
Dis-ease.
disease, and exactly what Gitananda said about 97. I don't know about the other 3%. 97% is all psychosomatic. It's all coming from the mind being in this stressful state, and then your lifestyle supports the stressful state. It's not giving you healthy nutrition. You're not breathing correctly, which automatically brings down the stress.
Mm-hmm.
People don't breathe, so your stress level comes up.
Yeah. And can we talk about ekadasi for a moment? By doing these breath retentions, I think it just clicked for me now. All that the retentions in the breath and the release of energy is just another way of releasing energy and releasing that stuck vibration of hidden.
Yeah, it's designed with the three parts of the three and the five and the seven and the retentions. And each one, when you're breathing in a certain mathematical ratio or sequence, it moves the energy into one part of your nervous system, like sympathetic, parasympathetic, central nervous system, ideally. And you're pushing the energy through these areas. So
Mm-hmm.
anywhere where the energy comes into a ball of stuckness, because it's been suppressed there or held there too long, and for whatever reason, usually emotional or something we don't want to think about or whatever, by increasing the voltage and pushing the energy through, whatever's was holding it there, whatever emotion or thought comes back up to light, and you remember things that you didn't want to remember.
Then you can contemplate it, analyze it, understand what's making you stuck.
Yeah,
It's a barrier you just got rid of. Such
and
powerful
then
work.
it really takes you into the past, and it's from the past that all these things are contained and held, and if they're not resolved, it eventually blocks up different areas of your body, different parts of your nervous system, until you become quite dysfunctional.
Mm-hmm.
So in yoga, it's important to clear the residual influences of the past that are standing in your way, because you can't move
Move
forward.
forward.
You can't go deeply into a state of meditation in the chakras, because there's these layers of the onions. There's fears and worries and bad memories in the way. And every time you try and go deep inward, you trigger some
It's
of these
stuck.
memories.
Yeah.
So Ekadasi is about blowing them out of the water.
Oh, I
Yeah.
can't wait till we do it. It's
Yeah.
amazing. Just to wrap around your friend from Trinidad,
Mm.
you said that Dr. Swami Gitananda taught him Savitri, and then what happened? He
Well, the seizures stopped. And then he began questioning life, because he was a priest at the time.
yeah,
So, and in Catholicism, there was no cure for
right.
epilepsy. Maybe they said, oh, maybe you're possessed by a devil or something. I don't know how they look at it.
And then you're
But
scared. That's
anyway,
terrifying.
yeah.
Oh God.
Anyway, he approached Gitananda because of the problem, and Gitananda, oh, that's not a problem. It's just a stress situation, and this is what you have to do, and you practice this for a while, and then see what happens. And he practiced it for just a couple of weeks, and said, hey, I haven't had a seizure in the last week, and I used to have them every day.
Oh my
So
God,
it's like,
yeah.
oh, okay, this is working. And then he began questioning more and learning more, and decided to. I mean, I met him in India because he was there studying yoga with me.
Yeah.
But it made more sense to understand how the body works, what stress does, and to work on a spiritual reconnection with the divine rather than being inside the church and having to go through the priests and the bishops and the cardinals and the pope and finally get your
Mm-hmm.
ticket to heaven if you did everything right.
Right. Okay. So to end this, is there anything that you can recommend someone can do? I think you already touched upon it, but just to balance out their Ajna chakra um, at, at home.
Um, Contemplation
Mm-hmm.
is the key. And I'll be putting out more videos and actually courses on that because, as I said,
It's huge.
it's huge. It's the missing link. We're all mental. We've all been educated in our minds, and we haven't sorted out this information. There's so many conflicts and misunderstandings and lack of knowledge about reality that the brain goes on thinking all the time, and you have to stop the thinking
Mm-hmm.
before you can concentrate. Only when you can concentrate can you go into really go into a state of meditation. It's
Mm-hmm.
not just that, okay, I just had a moment of peacefulness. That was my meditation. It's way beyond that.
Yeah.
Meditation and the peaceful mind is just the stage from which you can set up the next scene and go to higher levels of consciousness.
Yeah.
So, and the contemplation is, doesn't matter how many postures you do, even the breathing is going to bring stuff up, but then you have to mentally dismantle the belief system, change things, look at the old residual programs, look at the memories that have never been resolved, the issues in your life you've never resolved with people or whatever.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot of work,
It is work.
but it's good work.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good. That's why we're here
Yeah.
to do this work and evolve and grow and become more developed human beings than
Mm-hmm.
the stage of being in disease and war all the time.
Yeah. I don't want that. I don't think. I think a lot of people are not wanting that anymore for themselves.
Yeah,
But yeah, hopefully.
who does? You know,
I know.
only the people who are profiting from the arms industry and the other industries would
Mm-hmm.
like to keep the game going the way it is. People are getting tired of malfunctioning life.
Yeah. Well, David, thank you. And if anybody has any questions for David about anything about the chakras, health issues that you are experiencing, or your family friends, just hit him up, pyramidyoga.com or
Yeah,
pyramidyogascenter.com,
yeah, or chakrayoga.com.
chakrayoga.com, and also on Instagram, Facebook. So yeah, thanks,
Yeah,
David.
it's time to wake up, and I'm kind of throw out this knowledge again. I've had so much of this information for 50 years. I mean, everybody should know this, but slowly people are waking up. Even in the yoga world, I've been teaching yoga, but people think, oh, it's only postures, it's an exercise system. Why are you talking about the mind? People thought I was crazy in the 70s when I said mind over matter.
No way, like that's all. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
And now I have scientific documentation and videos showing how brain chemistry works and the fact that the vibration of your thoughts turns into the vibration of molecules called neuropeptides.
Which
A
affects your
molecule,
body.
yeah, molecules are all vibrating. Every atom in the molecule has a vibration, and this is what your thoughts are vibrations, just like your voice is vibration.
Mm-hmm.
So, learning to understand how all this works
Mm-hmm.
is what we should be taught in school. So I'm saying we need a whole new system.
Yeah.
We need a new educational system that teaches us how to be humans, how to be successful, healthy, happy humans to begin with. And then if you want to go out and get a job, yeah, but in the meantime,
Priority is your happiness and
yeah,
your health.
health and
Yeah.
happiness should be our priorities.
Not
And
get a
then,
job.
yeah, And then instead of getting a job doing what someone else wants you to do, if you're healthy and happy and you're practicing yoga, you have creativity.
Mm-hmm.
Then you create it and you start building things, inventing things, and making things. And that's where finance comes from anyway. You build something, you invent something, you create something,
You share
and that's
it.
worth
Yeah.
something.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the present system based on paper dollars that they just keep printing out. There's no value left. Whereas if you create something, I build a house and I sell it. I've done something which is good for someone else to have a house, and I've made money by doing it, or whatever. This is the real economy. Is you're
Mm-hmm.
contributing and you're creating something,
And
and
it
as
made you
humans,
happy.
yeah,
Yeah.
it makes you feel good, and you've done something that's worth something.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you've just done a few clicks on your computer and you've traded money from here to there and made a profit from doing that. And at the other end, somebody else has lost that, and we don't contemplate that.
Yeah.
It's creativity, and if you're healthy and happy, you're going to have creativity, and creativity is what we need to create a new society, a new world that is based on cooperation, health, and happiness.
Gosh, I wish we could get into the whole cooperation discussion, cooperation versus survival of the fittest, which
Yeah, survival of the fittest and competition, which
that's
is
not.
another fundamental part of the educational system, is competition. You're even looking at your grades in schools. I got an A and you got a B. Nah,
Yep.
I'm better than you are. Instead of, hey, did you get a wrong answer? I can tell you what it is.
Yeah, let's work together. Let's study together.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my God, yes.
Cooperation. So we're going to cooperation, not
Mm-hmm.
isolation, not social
War.
distancing. It's community. This is
Mm-hmm.
how humanity will survive and get to live on the planet for a while longer.
Hopefully, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, David.
All right. You're welcome. Always fun talking.
Yes, it was
Okay.
always.